Hey everyone, it's Rhonda here from Nelson's Soapery. Let's get making some absolutely beautiful soap today. So I'm going to be making my Feather and Fun soap, and what I've actually done is I've already made these really sweet tiny little leaves, and I've actually created these with some soap dough. So if you don't know how to make soap dough, basically just go back to some of my other videos and you will actually see me making them. It's really easy. All it is literally soap that you have already made, and you just put it in containers, seal it up for a week or two, and then you kind of squish it like Play-Doh again, and then you can actually mold it into whatever you like. So I've made some really gorgeous ones, and today I am going to be using a rose soap. I was going to be doing some lavender, but I've ordered some from an amazing supplier, so I'm just waiting for my essential lavender to come in. And for now, I'm going to be using this gorgeous peony one today, which is from Aussie Candle Supplies. There's a couple roses that I like. I use this particular one, which is really good, and it smells gorgeous, keeps hold of its smell a long time in cold process. And that's really good. And then there's another one called A Dozen Roses from Pure Candle Supplies, and that one holds amazing in soap and candles too, but I've run out of that one. So we're going to be doing a peony one today. So I thought I would show you my whole process. Often what I do is I kind of make part of it and then bring you back, but I thought today let's get going and I'll show you exactly how I'm doing my whole thing. So I've got my scales in front of me, everything's done and ready to go. So from here, what we're going to do is I do have my bucket here that's all ready to go. Make sure you've sanitized it and wiped it down. I know this one looks scratchy and whatever because it's older, but it has been cleaned and all of that's done. And to the side, I have my recipe. Now this one here, I've changed it a bit because I'm out of a couple ingredients, but I wanted to see how this one goes. So this one is probably going to be mostly for me or my family. If I have some left, I might pop some on the website because people often ask me for these type of ones. But anyway, for now, I thought let's get going and I'll actually show you how I'm just going to do this one. So anyway, like I said, on the scales, we do have the container, and let me double check my water content. So we need 532 grams of water on here. So I'm just going to tear out my scale because we only want to measure the water. So like I said, 532, so I'll just pop this in and make sure you're measuring out the right amount. Don't go putting 10 too much in or something. This one says 534, so I'm going to take the weeniest bit out because I really want it to be 532. And then of course, now look, typical me, there's a tiny bit too much out, and that's pretty good, 533. That's all right. 1 gram is okay, but you don't want to have 5 or 10 grams out, because it can really honestly change everything. So in here I do have my water already measured out, like we said, 532 grams, and now we need the sodium hydroxide. Please make sure that it is actually zoned and ready and available to use, and it's safe to use for soap making. Some of them are not for soap making, but this one definitely is. So we're just going to open this up. Of course, I have no kids, no pets inside of here. You definitely don't want to have animals or children around. And as you can see, it's seriously even mum or grandma proof because I'm a grandma and I literally cannot open this. So I know my little grandbabies would never be able to get into this because literally I can't get into it. Finally, I've opened it. I thought, oh gee, I might have to zone out and come back to you guys. But anyway, it's fine, all done. So now the lye, it says I need 200. So I'll tear this out. If you have not used lye before, please go and have a look at lye safety. I know everyone goes on about it, but it is really important because this stuff will burn your skin, will burn your throat. It's toxic. It's really important to do this the right way, and that is why you cannot use your bar of soap before 4 weeks curing time. So once we make it, we take it out of the mold, you need to leave it for at least 4 weeks. Don't go thinking you can rush this time. You really can't. I leave mine for 6 weeks. I know you'll see lots and lots of videos and lots of different advice. So I always say, you know, try and get some advice and then look up what you think you should do, and check with your laws and things like that as well. And you do need to make sure with lye, you cannot go over even 1 gram. Super important. So this says exactly what we need, which is 200 grams. So I'm just going to grab the spatula and we'll stir this up. you can either wear a mask, which I do advise. I know that I do not have one, but I have massive big windows and I always make sure I'm standing quite a distance away, and I just kind of put my hand over the top. And if you're doing this as well, please make sure you are stirring this until there are absolutely no granules whatsoever in the bottom. You definitely do not want granules in the bottom. Another trick too that I can give you is you can actually, in this, you can actually also add, if you want to make it white, your titanium, you can put this in now. There is no problem whatsoever putting a spoon into this. You definitely can do that. But once, you know, we've done this bit here, then of course we're going to add in all of our butters, because I'm doing the heat transfer method. And that basically means that the heat of the lye is going to just melt down all of your butters. Otherwise, if you do it the other way, you need all of your butters and your oils and the lye to be the same temperature. You don't want to have them above 40 degrees, so really low. And I always just have them at room temperature if I'm doing it the other way. But for now, we're doing the heat transfer method because I don't need anything super duper fancy to happen in this. So anyway, let us keep continuing doing this. And now I know that it's all good to go. I'm going to leave my scales because that way I can literally keep adding my products into this. So let me tear this out. And now I'm going to be adding in my hard butters and things. So in here, so now the next thing we're going to be adding into this as well is my coconut oil, and I need 308 grams. So we will tear everything out. My scale's having a little turn, so let me just turn it back on. And I'm going to just add in the 300 into this. And I've like pre-cut this, you know, down a little bit as well, because I buy the massive big drums. But if you're new to soap making, I suggest that you pre-do this. And it's almost ready, so $2.99. It is close as 300 as I'm going to get, isn't it? Actually, it says 308, so I need a tiny weeny bit more. So yeah, so that's fine. It's saying 8989. So that's right. And so now all we're going to do is literally mix this in. And then with this particular recipe, I'm going to add in some palm oil. Like I said, this is one I don't usually use. But you know what? Making soap, always practice, everyone. Just give yourself a go and try different ones. If you don't like it, you'll know. And for anyone that's wondering, I try and keep my cleansing under 10. But this one here is 12, so we'll see how it goes. When the cleansing says 15 or something, often you know, when it's like that, it can make you kind of a little bit scratchy or itchy. So, and it can be really drying. So I don't use a lot of coconut oil. So now I need to get my palm oil. And the only reason I'm using palm actually today is I need to use the box up. So I do have a box of it. I'll use that up. After that, I think maybe I'll go palm free. I know, you know, this is really controversial, and my customers honestly don't care if it has palm in it or not, but I thought to suit many people, I'll just maybe just cut the palm out, and then mine will be a shea cocoa butter sort of mix. That's what I think, and I've used that a lot. I've made my own recipe for that, and it works really well. And when I start making some more, I'll give you guys that recipe as well. But I like to test it before I give it to you. And I know this one will be pretty good. I popped it through soap calc as well. So anyway, let me organize the palm and I'll be back. So we'll tear out the scale, and here is my palm oil, but I need a lot more than this. So I'm just going to keep adding it into this so I know it's right. And I need 350 of the palm. So you just sort of have to cut it up and measure it yourself as you're going along. And for those of you that don't know, palm is also called shortening. And shortening can be found in candies and just so many different things. You know, honestly, there's palm in a lot of things that we don't even know. But unless you read the tiny fine print, you would never know that. But for now, like I said, I'm just really going to use this up. I've probably got enough for maybe 3 more loaves of soap. And so I will slowly just sort of use that one up. But anyway, I don't have enough in it, so I'm just going to add a bit more. And if you guys have never used palm, it actually comes in a massive big box. So let me grab the box so I can show you. So this is the massive big box that palm comes in, and it literally looks like this. So it's all stuck. They basically pour it in to the container, and like into this big plastic bag. They pour it into this, and it comes in a big box. That's literally how you buy it. And look, it does make a beautiful, creamy, silky soap, but it's individual choice whether you want to use this or not. So I definitely can't tell you yes or no, but it's really controversial. So if you think your customers are not going to like it, honestly, I'd say don't put it in. So then we have our 350, and that's all my hard butters for today. As I said, I actually have run out of a lot of my other things. So I'm literally just going to be doing this and see how I go with this. And then of course I do have some olive oils and some sweet almond and so on that's coming in this. But some people might only use these couple butters in their recipe, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But, you know, you just, like I said, honestly, with doing soap making, you just need to find what works for you and, you know, what works for your business as well. You know, if you were sort of trying to, you know, make something for vegetarians and so on, a lot of them do not like palm either. So, you know, I have quite a few vegetarian customers, and I do make a vegetarian soap. But if you take out palm, which often they don't like, and of course any animal byproducts, I don't use animal byproducts, except for if I do like a goat's milk, then of course that does, but generally I don't. And then, you know, that way you literally, anyone can buy it. You know, you can say it's vegan free, you can say it's vegan safe, I mean, you can say it's palm free. They're all the things that a lot of people are looking for. So, you know, if you're trying to aim at a bigger market, then that's, you know, it's a win-win look, isn't it? So anyway, I won't let you have to watch me the whole time, because that's pretty boring, isn't it? So I will actually just finish this bit and I will come back in a minute. So we'll make this nice and smooth. Then I'll bring you back and show you the end result of what we're doing next, and we'll get on to making the rest. Alright everyone, so I've started doing this already. Why I've left this to the side because it's still doing its bit and melting everything down. So in here I have my sweet almond oil, which I've already poured that in, and that's 210 grams. And now in here I do have my castor oil. So in here I'm just going to be adding in 42 grams of this. So we will slowly pour this in. And for anyone wondering, with my castor oil, I do mine a little different to a lot of people. I try and keep, I really try and keep my castor oil to like 3% or 2% of the recipe. Too much can make it sticky. When I first started making soap, I actually did make it and put like 5 or 10% because I didn't understand it. But it makes the bar sticky, and it can be really yuck after a bit of time. You know, if you've got a bar sitting on the shelf for like 6 months, it can really turn it yuck, and it gives it a terrible smell if you have too much castor oil. So make sure you're light on with the castor oil. Now let me grab the olive oil and we'll add that in next. So we've got our olive oil here. If you're looking for olive oil, you can go to places like Robin's Soap House in Australia. She's in Melbourne, and they have a lot of these kind of things, and they have like farmed olive oil, or you can buy it from the shelf. I buy this from the shelf, but if I'm creating soap for wholesale clients or something, I would use something like from Robin's, which is a much, you know, can buy it in bigger bulk, and it would probably be better for your wholesale clients. But for me, I mostly do retail. Every now and then I do wholesale if someone contacts me and asks me, but generally I don't do wholesale. So maybe I'll look at that in the future, but for now I'm just sticking to, as you guys know, making all of this retail, and I sell it at markets and in some shops. Some of my products are. And then of course I have the soap conference, so the soap and candle conference I'm working on, so that is my other passion at the moment. It's taking up, you know, a lot of my time, and I'm literally living on a few hours sleep. And of course my gorgeous dad is staying with me at the moment, so that's why I haven't been doing lots of videos. He comes and lives with me part-time, and my brother part-time, so because my dad has cancer, so we take turns to help look after him, and that's what he deserves, the best of our care, because he's a gorgeous dad. So anyway, that's why you haven't seen me a lot, and I'm sorry, but I will get back to this. My dad always says get out and make soap, so anyway, I'm making soap for you guys. So just so you know, it's because my dad said get out there and make them some soap, so that is why I'm here doing some more soap. So anyway, we'll put in our olive oil next, and our olive oil is going to be 490 grams. Always double check. So I know that you probably think, oh gee, you've made so much soap, you should know, but honestly I always double check, because if you put too much, you've just ruined the whole recipe, and you've literally ruined all your ingredients. So make sure you just keep checking and go really slow at the end, so that you're not going to put too much in. But like I said, 490 is what we're trying to get in here, so we're almost there. So at 489, that is as close as I'm going to get, and that's fine. I'm happy with that. And now, like you can see at the side here, this is almost ready. Just got a few little lumps and bumps in it. Honestly, if you're doing this heat transfer method and you have a few bumps, it's okay, because you can use, you know, like, you know, obviously your stand mixer is going to do all of that as well. Sorry, blender, not mixer. That will sort of crush them down when it spins. But usually if I'm going to do it, I'll spin that first and then put the next oil in. But, you know, try and make sure that you pretty much have all the bumps out. And I just try really hard to get as much as I can out of here. And as I said, I'm going to also with this, I'm going to add some titanium dioxide in one part of it, and the other bit is going to be this gorgeous pink when we're finished, because I want it to match with this, but I don't want it really colourful. I just want a really nice kind of light, kind of pinkish and white colour. And two, if you use like burgundies and stuff, the soap can end up looking like bacon. So be careful with pinks and whites, because often cream and pink just looks like a big piece of fat bacon, which does not look attractive, does it, when we're doing like, you know, a beautiful rose or something like that. So now anyway, we have done all of this bit here. So there's only one thing next to add that I always add, which is sodium lactate. Now sodium lactate is a natural salt derived product, and what it does is helps to harden the bar. You don't have to use it at all, but it is actually good to help get things out of a mold. So I'm going to be using this mold today, so it will make it just slip out really easy out of the silicone mold. So that is why I'm actually going to be using this one today. And just a little bit, I just add a tablespoon or the top of the cap of the lid to each one. So anyway, I'll go and grab that and we'll pop that in. And you can buy sodium lactate however you want. I buy it in these big jugs, and these ones here come from Heirloom Australia, and they just sit on the bench. So, you know, usually you would only add between 1 to 2% of sodium lactate, and that's all I do is add whatever's in that little lid, and that's it. It's only a small, very small portion. It's only a couple grams, but that couple grams will really help your product. Or you can also use salt if you want as well. Salt can actually work too. but I don't use the salt. I just use this, but I know of many people that use the salt. Anyway, so that bit is done, isn't it? And this bit is looking pretty good. So let's get to the next bit that we're going to do. And of course, this is going to be added into our main container here. But before we do that, so that I can put this away, I'm just going to go and measure up my fragrance oil. So we'll grab a container and we'll measure this up. So here is my little container. I'm going to be measuring all this one up. So we'll just tear out my scale again. Now you can add 44 to 70 grams depending on what your fragrance oil says that you can actually add, but I'm going to be adding in 70, 69, which is fine. It's just, I know that is fine. I've used it before. Some of these will say 5%, and when it says your percentage, that means not of the water, it means of the oil intake. So if you're using 1,000 grams of oil, then obviously this is going to be 5% of 1,000, which would be like 50. So work that out on, you know, your particular, like I said, on your recipe, and then of course the fragrance that you're using. Some fragrances say only 1% or 0.5%. So that's why I don't give the exact amount for that, because I may be wrong. So anyway, let me pop this away and then we'll come back for the next bit. All right, everyone, so we have everything here, don't we, that we're ready to go on here. So let's go and mix all of this in. So I'm just literally going to be popping that in here. But before I do that, because it's a tiny few bumps, I'm just going to blend it a tiny bit. It's okay to blend it a little bit, just don't blend it a lot. Because you know, remember this is the lye already in here, so with the butters. So it will come to emulsion if you do it too much. So let me just fix this bit. And that's all you're going to do, that tiny little bit. And now let's just add the next bit. Always take this out as well, because if you leave it in here, the whole thing can come over. I've actually done that before and it's so dangerous. This is how silly I was when I first started. I was wearing a pair of thongs because I thought I'm not going to spill it on myself, who cares? Well, I did, and the lye went all over my toe, burnt all in the inside of my toe. So don't do what I did at the start. And I didn't know enough, and that's the thing, a lot of people don't know how dangerous soap making can be. So please wear protective shoes. Now I always wear sneakers in here, or you know, like a leather shoe, but usually I do wear sort of running shoes that are protective. So don't go wearing thongs or sliders or slippers, or don't think, oh well, I'm at home so it doesn't matter, I'm not going to pop them in. Well, pop them on. You definitely do need to think of all those things. So anyway, let's get and mix this up. Once this is done, we will add all of these bits in it, won't we? So I will turn the music on and let you watch this, because you don't want to hear this noisy blender. It drives me crazy when I hear that sometimes. So now we have this look, it's barely a trace, which is okay because we're going to separate this in the color. So I'll just give it a few more bits of blend, and then I'm going to put a little bit in here, which is for the pink, and then this is going to be mostly the white. Alright, so we'll separate that. I'm going to pour some in here and then we'll put in the fragrance. Never put the fragrance and leave it. You always need to mix it straight away, because, you know, if you don't mix it straight away, if it's one that accelerates fast, it makes this look like just soap on a stick and there's nothing you can do about it. It means you've ruined it. So anyway, this, like I said, is going to be my main bit. So I'm going to grab some titanium and mix a tiny bit of that up. Usually you're just going to put a little bit of water with your titanium. It's best to mix that up, not pour the titanium in. Otherwise you'll get spots of titanium stuck on everything. So let me just grab that and then I'll be back. Everyone, so I'm back. So I have my titanium here. So this in here is 2 tablespoons of water and 1 tablespoon of titanium powder. So don't add too much water in. And yes, I am adding extra water into my mix here. But with my mixture as well, I don't super fat mine a lot. I only use a 3% super fat. So that way the content of water is a little bit lower in. But anyway, and you don't have to add the whole amount in. Just add whatever you think. So we'll start with that and we'll see how white this gets. If it's not white enough, which it may not be, it probably isn't. So we might end up putting most of this in, because you've got to remember as well that I'm using olive oil, which olive oil obviously has more of a sort of yellowy colour. If you use sunflower or something, then it won't be that colour, but I don't like the feel of that, so that's why I stick to olive oil. Alright, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to add half of this in here because I pretty much half and halved my recipe, which that is obviously my fragrance oil. And I wish you guys could smell this. Oh my goodness, it smells so, so beautiful. It's just such a nice fragrance. It's slow moving, so for any of you that are new to this, and you're a bit scared, definitely use one like this. A lot of rose ones are pretty good. So like I said, this particular one that I am using is Peony from Aussie Candles, but Pure Candle Supplies have one which is actually my favorite, and that one's called A Dozen Roses. It is a much more expensive and pure fragrance, but it is absolutely divine. So either one of those are a really good one, especially if you're a beginner. So let's mix this up. And yes, you will have noticed I just popped in my mica. I don't need to mix it. I actually use a cosmetic grade mica, and that one is from Sud Off in Australia. So, and it will go purple, but honestly, I promise you it will come back to pink. If you're doing mica like you've seen me pour it in, you do need to mix it really, really, really well, because if you don't, you'll have spots of mica in it. But I've used this before and I know it's fine. So that's why I'm doing it this way, because like I said, I have used it and I know it's good. Also, this fragrance does not accelerate. It actually slows down the trace. And what that means is that it will just help you have longer time to work with it, for those of you that don't know. So if you can see how purple this is, but I promise you it will come back to this gorgeous pink. And when I say colours morph, because this is what's called morphing, it just means it's going to turn into a terrible colour that is not the one you expect, but I promise you it will come back to its good colour. This one I use all the time, and it is a really, really good one as well. So yeah, so just make sure that, you know, you don't panic when you see purple. And this is called Lipstick Pink from Sud Off in Australia. So let me blend this one up, and then we're pretty good. I'll wipe down the bench and we'll start the next bit. Alright, so let's just fix all of this up and we will just clean this up a bit. Look, I'm not one of those people that's really fussy on cleaning the stick, because honestly, I'm going to be washing it anyway. But I usually do let mine harden up for a couple of days, then I will undo it and fix it. Because if you put this in the wash, it's going to put oil all over your sink and your dishwasher, so it's not very good for the dishwasher. So anyway, let's clean this bit up and then I will bring you guys back in just a minute. Alright everyone, we're back again. So here I have the loaf mold that I'm going to use. It's just a small one, and on the edge here, if you can see, I have done little lines on the edge, so then I can see this will hold about 8 bars. If you want more than 8 bars, then obviously you would do 2 or more. I actually love these ones. I think I have 8 of these molds now. So if when I'm doing wholesale, I'll literally do 8 in a go. I don't want to go to a bigger mold because I really love the size of this. And lots of my customers are saying they actually love the size. So I'll get a soap and show you. So this is actually the size when it is totally flat. So that's the size of it, and then I do about 1 inch wide. But if you have a top on it, which we're going to do today, it will come up a little bit higher. So anyway, let's get making. I'm just going to go and grab another little spatula for this colour. So now what I could actually do is I could have literally just done a bit of a drop pour in here, and all that is popping some of that purple in here, but I've decided I'm not going to do that. I'm literally going to pour most of the white in, and then I will actually come and pour some of the other colour in as well, and then pour a tiny bit more white on top. And then I'm going to pipe in some of this gorgeous colour. If you hold it up high as well, then what actually happens is some of it will go to the bottom, but you can use a chopstick as well if you want to get a little swirl. Sometimes I do that, but sometimes not. So you can see I filled it up probably a tiny bit high, but you know, that's all right, isn't it? So I'm going to let this sit here just for a little bit because we want it just to get a little thicker on the top. And then I will actually organize all of this into some bags, and we'll be up to the next bit. But if you want to use your chopstick, this is when you would get it and kind of swirl it around. And all you're going to do is kind of hold it like that and swirl it like a twirl into it, and then you've got to spin it around that way, you know. But I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm just going to leave it free fall itself. And then do remember, once I've done the next bit, we are going to add in these gorgeous leaves that I've done. And I've also done some baby ones as well, but I'm not sure if I'm going to use those. And soap dough, all you do is mish it in your hands, and then you're just going to push it into your silicone mold. But I've already done this, and I do mine 4 days in advance, or sometimes even more, to let these get harder. Because if you, I don't know whether you can see on an angle, but this one here is not flat. It's kind of like got a scoop on it to make it look like a feather. And that's why I've done it this way. But anyway, like I said, we'll let this one do its little thing. And when that's ready, I'm going to pop all of this into a piping bag. And then we will come back and I'll show you the next step that I'm going to be doing with this one. Anyway, I'll be back. Right everyone, I'm back again. So I'm just leaving this, and it's getting quite good enough to pipe soon. But my mixture's not super thick. So what I actually do here is we've just got some plastic wrap, and then we're just going to be popping in all of the leftover mixture that we're going to be using. Even if it's not hard enough, it's fine. It can just sit there and it will get harder at the end anyway. And then of course I have the purple, which is really pink, as we know. And then of course the white, and you can see this is still quite, you know, ready. It's not ready at all, but you can literally pop it in here and then just tie the lid back on, or sorry, twirl it up into the ends. What am I saying, the lid on? So I'm crazy at the moment. I have too much to do, everyone. I'm so busy all the time at the moment. But I'm sure you guys won't mind me making a mistake. It keeps it funny and real, doesn't it? You know, we always say that. And so you can see that this isn't ready, but it doesn't matter because we're literally just going to be tying the, you know, like just wrap it up and twirl the ends. And then you can just leave it on the bench until you know it's ready. That's usually what I do. I just leave it there. And as you can see, here it is here already. And so we'll just leave that there. I won't be touching that. And then that way I've got a bucket to put in all my messy things to be cleaned later. And in the meantime, I have already popped this in here. So this is the bag, and of course the end, which is the nozzle. And if you do this and point the nozzle up in the air, nothing can come out of the other end. So don't leave it pointing straight down. But we'll leave that until it's ready. It's not time to pop it in that. And so the idea of this is to get your plastic and then wrap it up and then put it inside there so you don't make the bag all messy in case you need to change it. So you can make as many of these as you want. If you have extra left over, this is the good thing with putting it in that wrap. You can just save it for soap dough for next time. So if you think you're not going to use it all, don't stress. Just pop it into, like I said, a bag or a container. And then that's for soap dough, because soap dough needs to be wrapped up tight. If the air gets into soap dough, it goes hard and it will set like soap. So you just kind of need to make sure that there's no air getting to it. So now I've done that bit there. This one is definitely thicker than the white, which is fine because I'm going to do pink and then probably white on top. And then this is all I'm going to do. And so I'm literally just going to sit this here for about 10 minutes. And then I'll come back and we will actually do the next bit and pipe it on top. And I can see this is pretty good. It's not too wobbly. If it's really wobbly, don't pipe it on there because the weight of the piping will just bury it. So definitely don't do that. And once that's all ready, then we're going to be popping in these ones next, aren't we? So they are my little feathers that I have already made. But you know, you might have a different design. You don't have to put those. You might just put a top on. Or if you wanted it straight, then this would be it. And you won't be putting this. But you guys know I like to make things a bit fancy, you know. It's probably the mumsy in me, and that's what I'm doing. But anyway, I'll come back in a minute when this bit is ready and we'll go up to the next bit. All right, everyone, I'm back again. So in here, remember, we do have our piping mixture. This purple is actually pink. You know, as we said, it will come back to pink. Tomorrow when we undo it, you'll see that. And then, of course, here is my white one here as well. And you will actually see that that will get a little thicker. So we're going to start with this one first. So remember, as I said, we do have our piping bag here. And let's get going with all of this bit here first. So all we're going to do is we've already got the tip in the end here, as you can see. And then we're just going to snip off the end of this and pop it into the piping bag. And the good thing with this is if you do it this way, once we're finished with the first colour, we just take that out and then we can use the same bag and put the white one in, which is better for, you know, your cost as well for saving, you know, any business needs to save those bits of money. And it's also better for the environment because you're only using one bag. If you're the sort of person that throws it out, it's definitely better to use only one bag and not more, isn't it? So let me get the scissors and I'll just cut the end off. So, and the reason you're cutting the end off is, you know, otherwise you've got to kind of pull it through here. I've seen lots of people leave it on and then pull that bit through, but I don't really do that. It's just a personal choice. There's no right or wrong. If you want to do it that way, that's okay too. And now you're just going to kind of try and slide it in here, which sometimes is a little more tricky, but that's okay. We'll slide it in. And then I just kind of like shake it once it gets to that, and you can see I've made a big mess, haven't I? Anyway, let me fix that. If ever you make a mess with soap, do clean it up, because if your hand goes in this, it will actually burn your hand. So do just wipe it up, because we're going to clean all this up after, aren't we? So we'll pop these out the way. So now, of course, do remember we've got this that we're working on here. And hopefully you guys can see me. You can always do a test. And don't worry, if you think this is too watery, then you can stop and you can come back, because it's only the bottom. You can go over the bottom. So usually I always sort of, you know, just like start here. And we can see that this is okay. It could be thicker. But for now, I don't mind, because it's going to just be the bottom. And I just want a bit of, you know, a kind of a pattern on the bottom a little bit. This particular tip as well, it reminds me of an ice cream tip. So that's what it looks like. It's kind of like an ice cream cone tip. And it's a really cute one to put on the bottom if you want to make it a little fancy, which we want this one to be a bit fancy. I actually haven't done fancy ones for a little bit, have I? I seem to have been doing lots of... you know, like whipped soaps and lots of shea butters and candles, because I've been so busy, I just haven't had a go at the moment. And you can see this has already got thicker, so if anyone can see that bit, and you know, so we don't want this to be too thick either, because then it goes a bit crazy and it's harder to get out of the bag as well. Like, it could be thicker than this for sure, but for now, I'm happy with this. I think it's fine. And, you know, seriously, everyone, don't put pressure on yourself to make everything look perfect, because you know what? Customers don't care. They see this and they go, oh my God, that's beautiful, because they're not creative like us. They're not. And that's why they're buying it. If they were super creative, they would just make it themselves, but they're not. They want somebody that is creative and knows how to do this to make them the soap they want. So for any of you small business people going, oh, I can't do it, someone else is better than me, Please don't think like that, because customers don't think like that. They really don't. We put too much pressure on ourselves and our own creativity. Customers always say to me, oh, I love your stuff. And I often think, oh, are you sure? But they do. They really do love it. So, you know, and they love you. Like that's why they're buying from you, because they like you. They trust you. You know, so these are all the things that I say to people, you know, just believe in yourself, because your customer clearly believes in you. That's why they're buying from you. They would not be buying a personal product like soap if they did not believe in what you're doing. I know that sounds a bit silly, but it is so true. Anyway, so we'll get that bit there, and I'm just going to pull the end of this out because that's pretty good. I don't want to do any more of that one. And this one is not ready, so I'm going to leave that and then we'll come back for the next bit. But this looks quite cute at the moment, and I'm just going to put a little bit of a silver kind of biodegradable mica. I only use, glitter. I only use biodegradable, so everyone's different what they want to use, and no judgment from me, but it is definitely better to use biodegradable if you can. I know it's a bit more expensive, but just use a tiny bit. Just don't use as much, because people are quite impressed when they know that it's biodegradable. It does really impress them that you've gone to, you know, to that effort of getting that. So anyway, that's my little mumsy talk, isn't it? Suggesting that you do that, but you know, it's all individual, isn't it? Anyway, so that's ready, and I'll come back for the next bit, and then we'll finish this gorgeous soap off. All right, everyone, this is not super hard, but it's okay because I only want a little snippet of this in the middle. So this is our white one that we're just going to put a tiny bit in. It could be thicker, 100%, and I'm just going to add this bit in so I can put my little leaves and things in, and then I will probably come back to add a tiny bit more where I think I need it. But I just decided I only want like a little peak in the middle. And it doesn't need to be a perfect peak either, because I'm kind of happy with this being a little bit crazy and not being perfect, which is fine. Also, the one good thing with this, if you can notice, the soap was originally this big, but because I've added these peaks, I've made it look like a tall soap. That is actually another trick too. If you don't have a tall one, you want a tall one, you can do something like this as well. So anyway, like I said, I do have my gorgeous little leaves that I have actually made. So, and down the side, which like I said is on this side, I've got my little lines. That will actually help me to see exactly where I'm going to pop it. So I'm just going to pop them like so in the side. You know, and you've got to make sure that you draw the lines if you're doing this kind of thing, everyone, because if you don't, when you cut it, then you're cutting it in half. So just try and put them in the center, and that way if you're wrong, it doesn't matter. You know, like you kind of got a little bit of a millimeter or a centimeter or whatever, but if I put this right in the middle and I'm a little bit wrong or my cutter's wrong, then you kind of ruined the whole lot. So that is why I do this. And also I see lots of people cutting the ends off. I often don't cut the ends off. I leave them on. Most of my customers are happy to get the ends. They quite like it. So yeah, I don't really cut them off. So I just leave them, but I'm sure you'll think that looks cute. And then I do have these little bubsy tiny ones. So the tiny ones are just going to sit flat like this, I think. So, and then of course they've got to be in line because they've got to be in line with the other one. And I pray that I don't have to cut these, because that will be really, really sad if I have to cut them off, won't it? So I'm just going to put them in line with each leaf. And it should be in the middle, so I should not have to cut these. But if I do, there may be tears. My tears. Anyway, hopefully you guys have loved this one, because I mean, I haven't made soap for a while. I've had a few people say, when are you going to make soap? I've been looking forward to your soap. So I apologize, everyone. Please forgive me for not making soap. But, you know, I promise I am getting back to soap. Honestly, for me, soap is not a big seller. I do sell it. I'm not going to say I don't. I do. But my biggest sellers is candles and bath bombs. They're huge sellers for me. I didn't start with candles at all, but people kept asking. Then I went, okay. And then I do know how to make candles. I used to make them years ago. So that's how I know. But anyway, look how cute that looks. Hopefully you can see that. I'll do a close-up of this gorgeous, gorgeous soap for you to see. And then, of course, tomorrow I will come back and cut it. And then you guys will be able to see me finish everything off. But for now, I mean, I love it. I think it looks absolutely darling. So anyway, like I said, we'll bring you back and show you exactly how sweet this looks. So a little look, everybody, for you all. And I thought I would just show you how gorgeous this is going to look. So this is its like side view, and you can see all the little leaves. Hopefully I've shown you. And then that is the other side. A bit cute. And if somebody thinks these are annoying to use, they can snap it off. So, you know, that's what I always tell my customers. If you don't like it, just snap them off and then you're done. But anyway, thank you everyone. We will be back tomorrow for the cut. Hey everyone, it is the next day and look how gorgeous this is looking. It is not totally changed its color yet, so I'll show you on here. So if you can see how it was purple and now this color is slowly turning pink. So at the bottom here it's more pink. But anyway, let's pop this on here and we'll give it a bit of a cut. If you think your soap's a little soft, just use a bit of parchment paper like that, or this is baking paper actually. I think in America they call it parchment, but I might be wrong. So anyway, we'll pop it on here and you can see in between here, this is where we want to cut it in between the leaves. And I'm just going to pop it on. If anyone's wondering about this particular cutter, my husband actually made this cutter for me. So that's why this one is, you know, quite big. I will be getting a different one later, but this is the original one he made me when I was first starting, and I haven't got into a new one. But anyway, let's get this cut. So I'm going to go behind it so that I'm not in the way so everyone can see. And I do have my little notch to the side that I've actually super glued it there. So I know that every single bar is exactly the same. And you would have seen yesterday how I said I literally do not cut the ends off. I just leave them on because I just don't see the point in cutting it off. People don't really mind. This is what they want to see, and you know, they love the end of the soap. So the big drum roll, everybody. So this is what it is going to look like. I mean, how cute is that? The inner part that you can see here, which is that kind of purpley bit, that will change color. So this little bit here will end up being a bit pinky. It's, you know, it hasn't gone through its little job yet, so we'll just leave it and we'll wait to see. But it's looking so cute, isn't it? I'll turn it that way so you can actually see it. So this is exactly what someone's going to see. And we will cut the next one just so I can show you. And if you can see here how it's come really close to the feather when I cut it, that's why you got to be really, really careful. Otherwise you can sort of ruin it a little bit. And then of course we will pop this bit off here. And I just need to fix my little feather and put that one back on. And then this is what this is going to look like. So how gorgeous is that? We are all done and they are looking gorgeous. I'm sure you can agree just like me that they look really pretty, and I do like the white color. The white is really lovely and it just goes with this soft, gorgeous peony typed color. So these will go on my racks for about 6 weeks to be cured, and then I will have them available, or of course my lucky family will get to use the rest of them. Anyway, thanks for watching everyone. I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.